Just another day. Just another day.
Good afternoon from Steve.
And it's good afternoon from Bev. And it's just
Another day.
We keep forgetting to say that, you know.
And does it matter?
Well, it doesn't matter because that's the name of the channel. Welcome to Just Another Day. Oh, I never checked today, see if we'd lost any more subscribers or gained any.
No, we've been too busy, haven't we?
So have you looked at check? No?
I've been busy watching other people.
Yeah, we've been watching YouTube. Where else have we been?
Ukulele this morning. We've been to Haslingden, to the Renaissance Centre.
Is it a dementia centre, that?
It's something, isn't it? Care, like a community care
Nearly
place.
kept me in.
It's quite nice, actually, isn't
It were nice.
It's a cafe, and there were lots of nice people there, and they all joined in, and they all enjoyed it.
We're doing a thing called Uke Fest.
Well, we
in
don't know.
May.
We don't know if we're doing it or not. We don't know if we're going. We might be away.
Well, we're up in Scotland 2 days before, so if we are going to, we're going to have to drive from up near Fort William, Ben Nevis area, all the way back in one do, which is quite a bit of a drive. It can be done, and I want to go to it because it's a big event in this area, as far as ukulele is concerned, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, it started last year. We went to the first one, and there were 100 people there. It were 10 ukulele clubs, and they had 10 members each.
Yeah.
And this year they've got a bigger venue, and there's going to be 200
ukuleles.
And now I don't know how many I would imagine there'll be more ukulele groups invited. I don't know, but if there's only 10 ukulele groups invited, then there'll be 20 members from each.
I mean, they didn't struggle to fill it. It were jammers,
No,
weren't
we're
it?
jammers, yeah. But fortunately for us, we're quite a few ukulele groups. So if one of the ukulele groups, all the allocations have gone, you can jump in with another.
We definitely go in if we want to go. That is, if we can.
Yeah, if we want to. If we're
enough,
home, we can
we're
go.
We're in enough groups to go.
Yeah.
I mean, this venue hasn't got a bar. I didn't have a drink at the last one, but people could have a drink at the last venue. But it isn't big enough to hold 200
There might be a
people.
bar in there. We don't know. We only saw
Well, I never
that.
saw it. I just saw a
But
cafe.
there were two lots. Yeah, but there were two lots of doors, weren't there, that weren't open.
They might be doing them misjustice.
They might do cans or something like that. I don't know.
Don't matter to me because I won't be able to drink
It's
anyway.
a fundraising exercise, isn't it? It's for charity.
Yeah.
We do it for charity.
And it's a bit of fun.
Yeah, it is good fun because everybody's got the ukuleles and the drums and the tambourines, and yeah, it's good.
And on the note of talking ukulele, we've been invited to Hoy Lake it's near Liverpool, Wirral, on the coast. I think it's seaside, about an hour and a half from here. And we've got the main stage for 20 minutes, which doesn't seem a long time, but you're on the main stage, and anybody else, all the other big names, they're on the main stage. So it is a prestigious spot if we want to go, and it's like a big uke festival again. So I didn't when I first got told about it, I thought 20 minutes all that way. But it's not just the 20 minutes.
Yeah, you can watch other people. You can watch the other people. You can stop as long as you want.
And there'll be stalls and everything.
Yeah,
there'll be
yeah.
stalls.
It's a proper day out.
So it is a proper day out. So I'm now thinking, it's in July, end of July.
Yeah, we just need to get all dates together, don't we?
Because we've got quite a lot going on.
Booked, but they're all over the show. And usually we try and book everything and then make a decent holiday out of it. But everything's quite a long
higgledy-piggledy this time,
beginning or end of. So it's collated it all, isn't it? Plus, I've got.
I was looking at the distance to. Yeah, you got your mother, haven't you? I was looking at the distance to Fort William today. Well, Ben Nevis, and it's quite a stretch, and there's a couple of nice sites on way up. I'm thinking of stopping a few nights on way up at different ones, but I think I'm thinking if we want to go to that one, it'll be one drive straight back.
Well, we could set off home on the Sunday. We're booked in for the Sunday, aren't we?
You
to
could
come home on the Monday, so we could set off away.
You could leave on the Sunday, late Sunday evening,
or Sunday morning,
do that.
And stop somewhere Sunday night.
You could do that.
And then make the rest of the way home for Monday, and then the Uke Fest's on the Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah, you could do that. You could stop one night.
Is it a Tuesday or is it a Wednesday? I'm feeling
it's a Tuesday. It's a Tuesday. I think it's a Tuesday because Ukes of Azzy is on a Tuesday anyway.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling it is a Tuesday because it's their evening for ukuleleing. So they're the organisers, so they'll be the ones who
pick the charity. I think last year it was £5 each. Oh, were it £5? Well, I didn't get no change, so were it £4 each or something?
Well,
And
you
I
didn't.
give her-
It was suggested, weren't it? You didn't even
Well,
have
she
to pay
suggested
anything.
donation, yeah, but I gave her the money and she said, do you want the change?
Yeah.
And I said, no, and I obviously give her a note. I don't know if I give her a £10 note or a £20 note. I think it might have been a £10 note, whether it were...
Well, you'd come away with no change.
I come away with no change, but it wasn't that much.
No.
The donation wasn't suggested at that amount. She just asked me, she said, do you want change? And I said, no, it's okay. Much to my disgust.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be ready for that next time. I'll make sure I have the right money.
So we think we'll probably have a look at that. Continuing with today, have you got any gifts today?
Yeah, well, Steve were knight in shining armour yesterday, weren't you?
I never thought much about it, but apparently the family did.
Yeah,
But it mattered nothing to me.
one at neighbours across the road. It's not somebody we talk to. We haven't really spoken to them because we don't.
No.
They're quite new, and we were going out with Pippa, and she has 3 little children. They're
Still not dry,
about
weren't
8,
you?
7, and 4, something like that. I think that baby's younger than Pippa. Anyway, they were stood out on drive, and I thought, oh, they're playing out. I thought these little girls were playing out. And I said to Pippa, look at them little girls, they're playing out. Anyway, I went out with Pippa, and I put her in the car, and the lady came across, and she was saying, please, can you help me? Please, can you help me? So I said, what's wrong? She said, I've got a leak, but I can't stop it. It's leaking, and I can't stop it. So I said, where's your stopcock? And she said, I've tried to turn the stopcock off, and it's not stopping. So then Steve was locking the door up. So I said, Steve, will you go and have a look? So he went across and took kitchen, didn't you? Yeah.
It was a mess.
And
She had a rubbish bin. We had lots of bins, lots of buckets, but one of the bins, it were coming through that fast. You imagine a big ash bin, a full-size bin, half full with water.
Yeah.
It was just coming straight through all the ceiling lights.
Yeah, she said, it's coming through me lights, it's in me. Anyway, you couldn't turn it off inside, could you?
No, I tried. I turned it off and the water was still running. I didn't know if I were going to go upstairs and have a look, see if she got a boiler, but I had another idea. But if they had a back boil, a cylinder tank boil, it would continue running until they're emptied anyhow.
Yeah, because
no matter what I did.
Yeah.
But if they had a boiler like a pressurised hot water boiler, hot water on coal, once this little system would have stopped. As ours did. It would stop. But I turned the stopcock off and it was just running as fast as it were when I turned it when it were on. So I knew there were a further problem. Maybe the stopcock weren't. I don't know. So I, as you're aware, most people know that there's one on the drive, or most drives, which were quite rusty, and I had to get the crowbar on it.
Well, you had to come backwards and forwards, didn't you,
Yeah,
for
get a
different
few
tools to
different
try and
tools.
get the lid open.
But I eventually got the lid open and turned the tap off, and that was the end of that. There was no more water going into that property.
But she'd rung her husband, and he must work quite a long way away, because these children had been out on drive for a while, and she said the children were so scared. I said, put your coats on and go and stand outside. And they were waiting for the dad coming home anyway. Just as you'd managed to turn it all off, the dad came home. Anyway, we said to him, like, you need a plumber. Obviously, he knew that. But
He said, I'll get an electrician and all. I said, I said, I can find you an electrician. I said, let the electrics dry and you'll be all right.
Yeah, because it were all coming through lights, weren't it? Anyway, never thought no more about it. I think they got a plumber in, because it mustn't have been yesterday, it must have been the day before.
Maybe yesterday.
Well, I saw a car there, a guy in a car, so I presumed it was...
Cafe with Pip, weren't we?
Yeah. Anyway, I presumed it were some sort of plumber. Anyway, never saw him, because we don't see much of them really, because obviously they're working. Anyway, they've been across with some flowers and some chocolates to say thank you very much, because if Steve hadn't turned it off outside, he said, I didn't realise there were a stopcock outside. So he said, I would never have turned it off there. He said, I don't know what I'd have done. And he said it is a mess in house. So he's hoping that the insurance... He was worried that the insurance might not pay, but...
Accidents,
yeah.
Same as ours.
Well, what it was, it's the pipe behind the shower that's burst.
Right.
Because he said something about cutting an hole in the behind the shower head, and it's that pipe that runs there, apparently, from what I could gather.
So at least they fixed it then.
Well, it's not running anymore. I would
And
imagine
the water's on,
they'll probably have capped it off, won't they? Anyway, they've got 2 bathrooms, so they won't be.
So they're up and running then.
Well, then they were really grateful, so that were nice, weren't it? So that were a good deed for the day yesterday, weren't it?
Yeah.
Even though we got spanked, we saved somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to review that spanking.
Yeah.
Have another look at it.
Oh dear.
So have you anything else to say?
No, so
Nothing else to say?
should I have something else to
No,
say?
I think that's about you.
Oh, we're going out tonight. We're going
Yeah.
to Mechanics tonight to a
What
show.
we're going to watch?
I don't know, something called Soul,
Spirit of Soul.
Spirit of Soul.
And we're going again in March the 3rd.
March the 3rd, what we're going, that's a Monday night, that.
Yeah,
What's that?
I can't remember. But we are going again on March the 3rd. To the Mechanics. That's it's in Burnley, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a theatre down
Theatre in Burnley.
Yeah, it's a pub
quite
with
good,
a
actually.
theatre and...
You can get a meal, you can get a drink, you
yeah,
can
yeah,
do
it's
what you want.
nice venue.
And you book your seats. The
Yeah.
seats are pre-booked, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It starts at 7:30, so we can go at 7:25 and go straight in.
Yeah.
You still have your seats, you know, what you want.
We
so.
usually go early, don't we? We usually go early and go in bar and have a drink, but I'm so shattered this week, it's just like, well, let's just go and go late, park up and just go in and sit
Going
behind the
anywhere
seats.
tomorrow?
Tomorrow we're going to Becky's. It's Becky's birthday. Oh, it's Sue's birthday today. Happy birthday, Sue. And Bunny. Happy birthday, Bunny. It's our Becky's birthday tomorrow, so we're going to Becky's, aren't we?
So we've got a party to go to tomorrow.
Well, it's not a party. It's just a family are going for a drink. Just spend a bit of time with them.
So it's a party.
I wouldn't say it's a party. It's a gathering, a family gathering.
Right.
So,
Anyhow, I thought I'd go on and tell you a tale
no, about. What do you?
about work and my old boss. Now, you might not, but this is quite unbelievable, is this? Where I worked as a park ranger, as you well know, the gaffer, the main boss at the time, he retired, and then one of the rangers moved up who had a shady past, which we didn't know at the time, and then that came to light. And it's fair to say 1 or 2 of the other rangers were also involved in the shady past. So they were all removed, which left as a smaller unit. But me and Neil, the guy I told you about who started, and we both... I've got a big red nose, I've got a spot coming, it's killing me. That's nothing to do with
That beer,
tail.
what you were having the other night? Well, what would it be?
Yeah.
2 pints of beer.
That's nothing to do with tail. Anyhow, so they brought a new broom sweeps clean. I'm not telling you his name, it's unfair. But they brought this new guy in, and he, to be fair to him, he did a good job at the beginning. And what he did was divide and conquer, and he took us in one at a time, and he told us if anything were... His pep talk were if we didn't pull his weight, he'd be dying on us like a ton of bricks, which I thought strange, but whatever, you know. It's his new broom sweeps clean, and he started. It's fair to say that we didn't get on. In fact, we were bitter enemies at the beginning, he and I. And I, as much as him, I did the job to my best ability, and I did do the job. I did do the job. But I led him to believe I wasn't doing I led him to believe I wasn't doing the job, even though I were, which made him more suspicious of me. So he in return focused on me to make sure I was doing the job, which I was doing. And this went on for some time. I enjoyed the little game we were playing, wrongly, of course, and I don't know if he enjoyed oining me. I don't know. And then there were 13 of us, so there were because we worked 7 days a week and 3 different shifts during the day, from 6 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock at night at that time, which was a long day. They had to have more than one supervisor, so they had number 1, which was in, number two, which was another supervisor, and number 3, who was a standing temporary dog's body supervisor, if you will, just covering when they couldn't cover for holidays and days off, things like that, or when they'd gone home and, on a normal day, and they went into the night at 12 o'clock, which I eventually got. I got the number three's job. Now, prior to this, every ranger who got the number one's job, we used to have numbers 1 to 13 or 1 to 15 or whatever the amount of rangers that were. I was a ranger 6, number 6. It's been a lucky number of mine, actually. But whoever got the number one ranger's job always took the number one badge, which were, I never got my head around that. They want that number one on the collar or the lapet, or what. We had to wear lapettes. They call lapettes. I can't remember now. Anyway, you used to have the number one on. And the number two had to have the number two. It was crazy. And the number three, you get the story. So I get this number three's job, and they said, do you want the number three? I said, no, I want to stop number 6. I'm happy as number 6. And things were going all right. Me and him were still at loggerheads, but he couldn't stop me getting the job because of my length of service. Still at loggerheads. And we had an argument one day. We always had arguments on his own because he could say what he wanted to say, which weren't a problem to me, and I could also say what I wanted to say. And no one would be a witness to either one and what we said to each other, which I liked, straight talking. At least you can have a decent conversation. And one day we're actually in Padiham, in Memorial Park, the town where I live, and he came out and we were having just a normal discussion. He said, I'll tell you what it is, Steve. He said, you will never get that number two's job as long as I've an hole in my arse. So, a few choice words were spoken after that, and that was that. I applied for another job because I thought, well, I've come to the end here. I couldn't.
It won't let you get up the ladder.
I was so ambitious, and I was like at that time, I was like a sponge. I was soaking every bit of information, every course I could get on. I'd go and soak that information and put it into the job. And but he was stopping me, which is fair enough. That's what he wanted to do. He was the boss. So I went for another job, and I got the interview, and I was in the interview, and the HR head of HR, he said at the end of the interview, he said, well, I'm pleased, Mr. Richards, Steve. He said, I'd like to offer you the job. And it was at that moment in time a light bulb come on in my head. I said, I'm really sorry. I am really, really sorry I've wasted your time. I said, I can't accept the job. And he said, why? And I explained to him. I said, I've applied for this job out of desperation more than anything. It's not the job I want, and it would be unfair for me to take the job and be unhappy and perhaps not apply myself 100% to the best of the ability for your firm. He said, I'm a bit annoyed about wasting my time. He said, but thank you for telling me the truth. He said, that means a lot, and thank you very much. So that was the end of that. I came home and I said to Sprocket, I said, I'm not going, Bev. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go back to college. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to do management, supervision and management to a high level. In fact, I got letters after my name, didn't I?
D-I-C-K.
Bev said it was D-I-C-K, it's actually NDIPM, so you could actually sign my name, NDI, National Diploma in Management. Anyhow, I never have done, but you could do. So I went back and got these qualifications, and then I took it further and I started other courses and got in fact I ended up higher, more qualified than he was, which is where I wanted to be. And all in this time, anybody who went on a college course or did a diploma or a degree or anything were given time to study through the council. And I never got a minute. He wouldn't give me a minute. I had to do it all at home. And because I wanted to do it quick, I did 2 years in 1 year, didn't I?
Well, you did your first year and then you did your second and third year in 1 year.
Yeah,
so it took you 2 years.
I did one on a Tuesday night and one on a Thursday night. And because of the time when I was working loads of overtime and doing other things, plus the family, I did the Tuesday night, I came home and I worked right through the night into as early as I was, sometimes 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to get the work done, so I could then put the first year away, put to bed before I went again on the Thursday to college and got the third year. And then I'd do the same through the night until I got it all done. Then I went back to work and then pick it up again on the Tuesday. And even on the exam, on the day of the exam, people got time to study and brush up on techniques and before you went in for this exam, which were quite big at the time. And they wouldn't give me no time, even to study for the exam, which made me dig in further. He didn't like me, which is fair enough, and to be quite honest, I didn't like him. And that's how it went on, and I got the qualifications. I passed all the tests, which annoyed him. He weren't happy that I passed. Anyhow, I did pass all the tests, and then the number two's job come up. Now you've got to bear in mind, I'll never get that job as long as he's an hole in his arse, which is what he told me. So we went for the interview. Now, another guy went for the interview. He'd only been there. He hadn't been there so long, and he went for the interview. I'm not saying no names again. And he went for the same interview. And it was on a Friday. And so we had the interviews, and we weren't told. He was told the outcome. I wasn't. I was kept in the dark till Monday. I went into work on Monday, and the boss was waiting for me. He said, "Steve, can I have a word with you in office?" I said, "Yeah, not a bother." He said, "Let's have some good news and some bad news. Which do you want first?" I said, "I don't care. Give me whichever way it comes." He said, "Well, the good news is you've still got the job. The job you had, the number 3 job." I said, "Okay, fair enough." He said, "You didn't get the number 2's job. Now, listen to this one. This is very carefully. This matters." His next explanation was this. Try to understand this. This was his motivation task. This was his motivation speech. How to win friends and influence people. His next sentence said, "However, if I had not have been in that interview, you would have got the job." That's what he told me. If I had not been in that interview, you would have got the job. But because I was there, I stopped you and give it the other guy. Is more or less what he was saying. So we're never going to get that job as long as he's an hole in his arse. Just refer back to the number 3 position while we're talking, because the boss, who was a guy I got on with, when the number 3 position came up, he rung me up. You had to have an interview for all these positions. Any position in the council, you had to have an interview. And he rung me up, he said, "Steve, do you want the number 3's position?" I said, "Well, I can't." I said, I'll have to have an interview." I said, "You haven't asked the boss, my boss."
Number 3, well, you had number 3.
Yeah, this is how I got it.
Oh,
I'm,
right,
I'm
I see.
reflecting
Oh,
back
right,
before I go further.
Oh, right.
And he said, "Do you want the position?" I said, "Yeah, I do." Yeah, I said, "Of course I do." He said, "Well, you've got it." I said, "What about an interview? What about speaking to my boss?" He said, "Doesn't matter. I'm his boss. You've got the job." That's how I got the number 3. Coming back to the number 2's position, so again, his speech, you would have got the job had I have not been in that interview. Just bear that one with me. So I said, "Fair enough. I can wait." "Well, you never get that job as long as you're all in your arse." And then that was the end of the conversation. So off we went. And I held no grudges against the next guy, did I?
No,
I helped him.
he helped him. Because he didn't know the job, did he?
He didn't know the job, and I helped him. I helped him as much as I could. And he came, and then our boss went on holiday.
The number 1.
The number 1, he went on holiday, and the number 2 came and approached me. He said, "Steve," he said, "it's not the job for me." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I can't hack it." I said, "Why?" He said, it's not what I thought it was. It's too much pressure. It's giving me stress. It's giving me anxiety. I just can't hack the job." I said, "What are you going to do?" He said, "I'm going to jack in." I said, "Don't do that." I said, "Give it a bit more time." He said, "No." He said, "I can't hack it." I said, "Okay, fair enough. We'll go and see the big guy while our boss was on holiday." So we went and saw him, and he told him he couldn't hack the job, and he jacked in while our boss was on holiday. So again, the big boss ringing me up. He said, "Steve, do you want the number 2's job?" I said, "Well, I can't have it." I said, "Our boss is on holiday." I said, "As you know," I said, "and I need to go for an interview." He said, "You don't need to go. Do you want the job or don't you?" I said, "Of course I do." I said, "I want to better myself all the time." He said, "Well, the job's yours." I said, "Well, what about boss?" He said, "I'm his boss." He said, "Don't worry about that. I'll sort him out when he comes back." I said, "Okay, fair enough. I'll take the job and I'll run the department now, as from today." So I got the job and I run the department. And before my boss, my boss, saw the big boss, if he's following this, he came to work. It was on a Monday morning. He came back to work. So he didn't know that I got the number two's job at this stage. So when he walked through the door, bearing in mind, I'll never get the job as long as he's an hole in his arse. I said, hiya. He said, hiya. I said, do you want the good news or the bad news? He said, either way. I said, the good news is, I said, I've got the number two's job. He said, what's the bad news? I said, you're going to have stomachache. Little things, please, little minds. But that moment has gone down in my history of being one of the pivotal moments of my whole life. You're going to have stomachache. And he tried to get me demoted, but it would never happen. Moving on in the story, the big boss then retired. New boss comes in, and I got on quite well with him. And if I'd ever had anything to say, I would never say it behind anybody's back. I told it in front of them, or I said my ideas or my thoughts. And we used to have loads of meetings, and me and my boss used to go into the meeting. The big boss were there, and I'd say something, and we'd come out, and my boss would say, "Why did you say that? I didn't know you were going to say that." I said, "I didn't know when I get asked a question." He said, "Well, run it through me next time." I said, "I'm not doing that." I said, "I'm saying it as I think. You know, it's my answer." I said, "You can't." Well, he said, "I need to know what you're saying." He said, "You're dropping me in the shit here." I said, "Well, do your job." So anyway, this went on, doing it for some time, and it was a Friday night again. Oh, and I was frightened about getting that number one's job because I thought I couldn't cope. I thought, I'll never like this. There's this much to do. There's that much to do.
He made it like he was doing the right lot, didn't he?
I thought, there's that much to do. I'll never cope. Anyhow,
cope.
he comes in on the Friday night, didn't he? Pale, white as a ghost. He said, "Steve, have you a minute?" I said, "What?"
Well, at this time you were going
This
on with him,
this
weren't
particular
you?
time,
you,
yeah,
you
we'd
together.
buried the hatches,
yeah.
And we had quite a lot of work to get through, and things weren't going so well. So we got together, and I decided to work with him rather than work against him. So I put all my effort into the job again, and I started to work with him. And he said, "Steve, have you Friday night? Have you a minute? I need to speak to you." I said, "Yeah." I said, "What's problem?" I said, I just said his name. I'll edit that little bit out. I said, "What's problem?" He said, "I need you a word with you in the office." So I went into the office. He said, "I've been made redundant." I said, "What do you mean, made redundant?" He said, "They're finishing me." I said, "Finishing you?" I said, "How's that come about?" He said, "I don't know." He said, he asked me to into the office, and they told me I'm finishing. "Have you heard anything?" I said, "Why would I hear anything?" I said, "I haven't heard a thing."
No, but then you were worried, weren't you?
Because I was worried then. I thought the whole department's going. I thought, am I going? Is the department going? What's happening? Yeah. So I came home and I told you, didn't I? I panicked. I was sick as a chip all weekend, and he's walking around like a zombie. So Monday morning comes. I go back. I went to work, and our big boss, the one who gave my boss the marching orders, calls me up to the office. Phone call. "Can you come up to the office?" I went, "Oh, God almighty. Here we go." It was Monday afternoon, so I went in. He said, "Have you spoke to..." I said, "Yeah, I have, yeah." I said, "He's not happy." I said, "He's sick as a chip." I said, "But where does that leave me?" I said, what's going to happen to the section? What's going to happen to us all?" He said, "Do you want his job?" I went, "What?" He said, "Do you want his job?" I went, "Well, yeah." I thought, "Yeah, no, I can do that job." I said, "Yeah." I said, "How can you do that?" I said, "I haven't even had an interview." I said, "You can't offer He said, I said, "Well, you can't
make someone redundant and
make
then give somebody
redundant,
their job.
give them their job." He said, "Well," he said, "Do you want the job or don't you?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll do the job." So I came back to the office, and I weren't at this particular moment in time. I weren't gloating. I weren't happy about it. He was sick as a chip.
But what could you do?
What could I do? I'd either take the job
or you were down the road,
or I were down the road, or somebody else had come in charge of me. So I had a word with him. He said, "What's happened?" So I told him what had happened. He said, "Okay." He said, "So your position, it'll be vacant." I said, "Well, possibly." He said, "Would you mind if I worked under you?" I went, "Don't do that." I said, "Please don't do that." I said,
And he were retiring age,
He-
weren't
yeah,
he?
he
He were
just wanted to,
near
yeah,
enough. He
he
just
just
didn't
wanted-
want to retire, did he?
I said, please don't do that. I said, it's not a good thing to do. I said, not a good thing for you as a man to go up there and ask for the lesser job under me. I said, don't do it. I said, please don't do it. Don't go up there and say that. I said, I ain't going to bother with you doing it. If you really want to do it, I'm just thinking of your self-esteem and
Well, he could afford to retire,
yeah.
and he could have. He could
As a
afford to
as a
retire.
person,
Yeah.
why would you want to go and do that? I didn't understand, but he did. He went and asked if he could work under me, and he said no.
Really, didn't he?
And he just went quietly. But the thing was, I thought at the time I was panicking. I'll tell you, I was in a blind panic because I was saying to Bev, I don't think I can manage running this job. I said I don't think I can do it.
Because you were busy as a number two. You were
Yeah, I was
absolutely
busy as a
and
number
you could-
two.
You thought I can't take any more work.
I don't think I can take any more work on. One man, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I've got the capability. I don't think I've got the knowledge. I can't do it. And when he went, nothing changed. I was doing it.
You'd already been doing the job.
It all deaded me.
Already been doing the job for about 2 years.
I've been doing the job, for about 2 years, doing everything, and all he was doing was
sitting
sitting
in
back
office,
and reading
weren't he?
paper,
Yeah.
newspaper and things like that.
Snoozing in office.
And I didn't know. He'd worked me. He did they used to call it old heading. And I'd been old headed for a couple of years. I was doing everything and nothing changed. I didn't get no extra work.
In fact, it were easier, weren't it?
It was easier because I didn't have to do
Well, you didn't have
work
to.
for him
You
as
didn't
well.
have to run it through him, did you? You just got on with it.
So I just got on with it and nothing changed. And then I got about three or four different departments shoved onto me. And that's when the pressure built up, and that were hard with that. And then as time went on, they were taken off me and spread out to different departments, which made it a lot easier. But that was just a tale, which I thought might interest you. No names mentioned, but it was actual 100% fact, and that actually happened. On that note, we're going to get ready for the evening out.
I'm going to have some tea.
We're going to have some tea,
So it's good evening from Steve.
and it's good evening from Bev.
Go and get him a
and
drink
it's
now. Go and get him a drink to wet his clacker.
Just another day.
Adios.
Adios. Good night. What's that, sir?
Something about low light.
Recording. We're recording.
Well, it's good afternoon from Steve. Oh, it's recording.
1, 2.
Well, yeah, Spielberg. Aye, holy hell, come on.
1, 2. He's finished.
Well, come on.
Let's do it
Get
right.
on
Let's
with
just
it.
do it
Get
right.
on, get on with it.
1, 2, 3. Just another day. Just another day.